Hello, my fellow Dark Knight enjoyers. Today, I'm going to be giving you an interesting one today, and one that honestly means a lot for me in particular. If you didn't know, my favorite character of all time is Batman. Everything about him is it's amazing. There's been so many adaptations of his character portrayed on the big screen. A lot, very great, and some not so great. In today's video, I'm going to be ranking every single live-action Batman movie. Alright, starting at the 10th spot is going to go to Batman 1966. Now, this is a film I did not grow up on whatsoever. There's not a lot for me to talk about. I've only seen this movie once, and it has definitely aged a little poorly for me. Now, yes, this movie has revolutionized the Caped Crusader on the big screen, but seeing its later competitors, you can really see how goofy and corny it is. Obviously, Cesar Romero is oddly great as Joker, besides his goofy mustache. I think this movie is just great for its time in the 60s, but that's about all I can give it. I respect it for what it's doing, but it goes on the bottom of the list simply because I cannot take it seriously. Number 9 is going to go to Batman and Robin. Speaking of childish and goofy, Joel Schumacher turns this up like 10 notches with this one. The movie itself is targeted towards kids, which is fine, but when the whole point of the movie is a marketing campaign to sell toys, it's going to receive some backlash. This is a movie you can just sit back and make fun of the whole time. It will bring laughs, but not a lot of good ones. I always feel bad that George Clooney, such an incredible actor, got stuck with the bad writing and production here. I think physically, he could have had the potential to be a great Batman. Unlucky. Here we go at number 8 is going to be Batman Forever. Now, along the lines of Batman and Robin, this movie can be so ridiculous in many scenes. Half of my heart loves this movie, and the other half really hates it. Let's explore the good things first. I love Val Kilmer as Batman. I honestly, personally think he has some of the most potential to be the greatest Batman, but unfortunately, we know how that happened. Bruce Wayne in particular, he's just great. I love his portrayal. I think the casting is great on that side, and like George Clooney, he could have had some great potential. That's about it for good. Now on to the bad. The villains are so lame in this movie. Out of all the actors to play Riddler, which is one of my favorite characters, you cast Jim Carrey. And don't think that this is targeted or hate towards Jim Carrey. I love Jim Carrey. He's so funny. But I figure he needs to play in his comedy movies. That's kind of where he shines. And Batman, not the most comedy. So, and I get it. Having an A-list actor at the time can get your movie a lot of attention, but they really missed on this part. They told Jim Carrey to just act himself instead of playing the actual character. Two-Face is less bad. I actually love Tommy Lee Jones. I just think he had a bad script and bad writing. Overall, this movie I want to love, and I want to talk about it so much more, but its potential is all it had going for it. Number 7, here we go. It's going to be a little of a shock to you guys, but it's going to be The Dark Knight Rises. This is definitely Nolan's weakest Batman film, and let me explain. I am partly biased, first of all, because personally I prefer comic book accuracy over like real life's accuracy and stuff like that. I don't like Tom Hardy's Bane portrayal at all. I'm going to be straightforward. I do not take it seriously, and I think Nolan really tries to make it serious, and it's really goofy for me. It does not work for me. The mask and the voice, it just gets annoying so much. Like, oh, I'm gonna get the Batman. Like, just stop. And let's talk about the most frustrating thing in this movie and why this movie is at number 7. The twist. Yes, Bane's character is not one of my favorites at all, but I can admit that he should be the main antagonist the whole time during the movie. don't think you should have made him the henchman in the third act randomly working for Talia al Ghul, someone who we spent no time with whatsoever. I think that's just really cheap and sloppy. I think that reveal really solidified my dislike for this movie and why I have it at number 7. Number 6 goes to Batman Returns. Batman Returns has a soft spot in my heart due to this being one of the first Batman movies I was shown as a kid. Something about the holiday time and Michael Keaton's Batman and amazing villains just brings a smile whenever I watch this movie. On to the main nitpick is the plot. It's really silly, yes, but once you see the great production and cast of this movie, you seem to not care as much about it. I love Michelle Pfeiffer as Catwoman. She gives the character so much finesse and power. DeVito is really great as Penguin as well. You can really tell he cared about the character. And this is just such a great movie. I love the vibes of it. It's a great movie with some flaws, but you can really enjoy this one. Number 5. Batman vs. Superman. Yes, I'm counting this because technically it is a Batman movie, and it gives me a reason to talk about how great Ben Affleck's character is, which is what we're going to actually start with. This casting is one of, if not the most accurate Batman / Bruce Wayne portrayal. This suit is amazing. I think it's probably my favorite. I think it's at number 1. It's so sleek, so movable. It's so great. This is the only Batman I would actually be terrified to encounter in the streets. No, for real, he's terrifying. Back to the movie. I like this movie, it's good. I find the ending with Doomsday a little overwhelming, as well as Lex Luthor's character and portrayal. I don't think you should have cast Jesse Eisenberg as one of the smartest mans in the DC universe and stuff. He's a little silly, but let's get past that. The plot, it's interesting in this movie. I don't know if I like it, I don't know if I hate it. It's basically just tons of characters trying to manipulate the others against each other. It's basically the whole plot. I don't know if I like it or not, but it's there. So I think a lot of people hate on this movie way too much. It's not the best movie, but it's not a bad one either. Number 4, the most recent Batman movie. It's Batman 2022, The Batman. With this being the most recent Batman movie to hit the big screen, you kind of have to be careful about the hype and popularity and recency bias around that, but I think I'm doing great about it. This movie is great, yes, but it is no best Batman movie of all time. It's not. Let's start with the greats. I wouldn't normally say this, but the hyper-realism of this movie is just so entertaining. You really don't get to see a lot of how this movie portrays in real life in any of the other movies. I love how this Bruce is just starting as Batman and he's beginning to understand what it means to be a hero. The constant juggle between hero and vigilante and is just so moving and really makes you excited for any sequels to come out. Robert Pattinson, of course, is just so unsurprisingly dark and well. It just fits for the vibe this movie has going for it. And Paul Dano, obviously, oh my gosh, so good in this movie. I knew he was going to be good from seeing Prisoners and There Will Be Blood. It's just easy to see how perfect he was for this role. A nice highlight for this film that I don't hear a lot of people talking about is the Batmobile. The Batmobile is freaking great. It doesn't get much screen time, but when it does, it completely takes over. Now, let's go to the not so greats. I think this movie shifts to a detective movie too much sometimes, and it doesn't focus on the actual Batman aspect. Yes, it's cool to see this side of Batman, but once you take out the Batman in this movie, you still have a detective film. Overall, this movie is really great, and I'm stoked to watch the sequels in the upcoming years. Alright, we've hit our top 3, and here we go with another Nolan movie. It's Batman Begins. This movie about 2 months ago would have probably hit around the 7th or 8th spot. This is a film that grew on me the more and more times I watched this. This is the definitive origin story of Batman and Bruce in my opinion. Let's get to the obvious out the way. Christian Bale is so perfect at both characters, in specific Bruce Wayne. I really think that this is the best Bruce Wayne casting to this day, and it's really hard to top that. Obviously, the other characters are so amazing in this movie. Liam Neeson as Ra's al Ghul and Cillian Murphy as Scarecrow. Peak castings by Nolan. The plot is also super balanced, and it shifts from current day to young Bruce's years and what he goes through to become Batman. And let's talk about the score for a second, because Hans Zimmer's score in all three of these movies are freaking amazing. In total, I'm just really glad I found the appreciation for this film, because it really stands out as a Batman story as well as an origin story. Number 2, this might be a shocker for some, maybe all, but it's The Dark Knight. Now, if this wasn't my list, it would easily be at number 1. This is objectively one of the best movies of all time, no glues. Everything I said about Christian Bale before, double it. Everything I said about Hans Zimmer's score, double that too. Let's talk about some news to this film. Wow. I thought the villains in Batman Begins were amazing, but Christopher Nolan really topped it off in this movie. Joker, oh my gosh. Everyone's talking about him. He is the undisputed GOAT in the villain category right now. Heath Ledger obviously gives the best performance of the Joker, with him winning Best Supporting Actor in this movie. I can't explain how good this performance is. It's hard to just look at the scenes and think that that is just acting and it's not real. Him and Bale's chemistry is so unmatched in this, and I love the constant rivalry they commence. I do find it a little unfortunate that Aaron Eckhart's Two-Face doesn't get enough attention, because it's obviously being shadowed by Ledger's. He gives so much emotion to the character, and it's really touching and moving. I love Two-Face as a character. And let's talk about how good this movie looks as well. Many people believe it has some of the best cinematography of all time, and I won't disagree with them. It's a beautiful movie. I'm just so glad I got to witness this movie for the overall greatness it was. Alright, but we know number 1. Come on, you guys know what this was. It's the Batman 1989. Yeah, boo me all you want. Get it over with, come on. But let's explain the absolute glory of this film. Small glazing incoming. This is the best casting in a Batman movie, I'm not gonna lie. Michael Keaton is easily, in my opinion, the best Batman. His acting and performance is a living comic book. And Jack Nicholson is easily the best Joker. I love how comic accurate he is, and Jack Nicholson is so easy at playing psychotic villains. All the other castings are great as well, but I had to show praise to them too for really punching a hole in my heart for Batman. The score is one of the best I've ever heard in movies in general. It's so mellow and dramatic, and when I hear it, I immediately think Caped Crusader. The first minute of this movie, I'm smiling the whole time. Danny Elfman really created this soundtrack to my childhood, and it makes good sense because it's also the soundtrack for the Lego Batman games. The plot, it's perfect. I have no flaws for it. I love how we see Jack take the acid fall, like the comics, and you just see his uprising as Joker. Every scene with him just takes it away and puts me in a good mood. It puts me in a great mood, actually. Let's also commend to the greatness of the set and set design. Gotham City has never looked better and is so monotone and gloomy. That's exactly what I want in a Batman movie and what I want to see in Gotham City. It's easy to think, oh yeah, I look at that and I see Gotham City. Tim Burton just has a way of bringing the comic book character into the big screen, yet also keeping the comic book aspect present. I love this movie with all my heart, and I know y'all will hate me for this, but it easily remains the best Batman movie for me. Alright, and hopefully you guys enjoyed this ranking, and if there is something you're interested in more, drop a like and comment a ranking I should do next. This was XP Tyler, and I will see you all in the next video.